Last week, we talked about how to properly position the proposition. So, good evening, Joel. So, what is the proposition? The proposition is either A, Wakana as a business, or B, Wakana as a place that you can come to receive health products in the CBD industry. So it's either A, Wakana as a business, or B, you're becoming a customer. That is the proposition. But that proposition, which is the only two things we're talking about when we talk about Wakana, being a customer or being a business builder. However, it's imperative that we understand that that proposition must have proper positioning. And I'm going to give some examples as to why momentarily. The proper positioning comes from what we've taught in the past of consultative selling. Does anybody remember what consultative selling is? Throw it in the chat. What is consultative selling? See if we got anybody take a quick guess. And you may know it. Dr. Diamond, you want to throw a stab at it? Consultative selling. All right, here's what it is. Consultative selling is selling based on questioning. So that means I am asking questions, and from me asking questions, they're giving me answers. And every time they give me an answer, it helps me to properly position them for the proposition, right? It's based on the answers. So that means I'm not coming in talking, selling a template of something. I'm coming in asking questions. And based on the answers to my questions, it's going to help me to determine how to properly position the proposition that I'm going for. So based on how they answer the questions is going to determine whether or not I'm moving down the customer track or I'm moving down the business builder track. And based on what they're saying, if I decide to go down the business builder track, is going to determine what I'm going to focus on as it pertains to the business building. So many of you may know that myself, along with several team members of Wakana Nation, Phyllis Nash, many of you may know that we participated in an expo last week. Last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we participated in the CBD expo. We had a vendor's booth there, and we had our own CSO, Phyllis Nash, do a wonderful job on the stage presenting Wakana. So the way this works is simply this. People came to the booth. They asked questions. We asked them, and so when they came to the booth, many times they'll say, hey, what do you guys do? And many of our reps would tell them what we do. We'll tell them what we do. And so the first person that came to the booth that I spoke to just so happened to be a mayor of one of the South suburban cities that I know. In about 7 to 8 minutes, he signed up for the founder members pack. The second person that I spoke to came to the booth. I don't know this person from Adam. About 12 minutes, signed up for the founding members pack. Here is, I'm not saying that to impress you, because I'm about to share something with you that's going to make you go, ah. What I found from the mayor is that a while back, one of my colleagues had told him about what we were seeking to do in opening up a South Suburban Wakanda location. And he was very much so interested in us coming to South Suburban to open that up. So I knew that there was interest there because we had already had some teasing, but there was no interest for him to get into the business. However, the way I positioned the proposition was simply, hey, listen, we could actually come in to the village, to the city, and work it out whereby the village, a non-for-profit of choice, or even yourself benefit directly from that location. I'll explain it to you later. However, this weekend is the last opportunity you'll have to get the founding members pack as it is presented. And so based on how I positioned it, it caught his interest and he bought. Met with him today. We're going to identify a location. I shared with him how he could benefit from the 7 ways to get paid with Wakanda. So we're working on that. The second person came, I knew nothing about her. I asked her who she was. I asked her what brings you to the expo. I never told her about Wakanda. She came looking, asked me about Wakanda. And instead of me answering her about Wakanda, I asked her about her. And I began to get her to talk about her. Why? Because I needed to know how to properly position the proposition. I read her badge and it said so-and-so, so-and-so CBD. And I said, okay, what are you doing? Well, we're launching, so it told me that it was new, our own product line for CBD and our CBD company. I said, okay. Said we're white labeling. And we're just looking for options. So the first thing I did was sold her on our quality of product and the array of product we have. And I really didn't sell her, I told her, because she was looking for product that she could white label with her own brand. So I said to her, well, if you're going to white label, then, you know, there's a certain amount of a minimum requirement of units per unit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. After she was like, oh man, this is the type of product I'm looking for. And so she advised me. I said, well, is that do something doable for you? She said, no. She said, what I like to do, I really like to start off small. So I said, how about this? This is something we have this weekend. It's the founding members pack. Now, what this does is give you samples of all of the product. And it gives you product that you can sell. And it gives you a share of 1% of the overall revenue in the company on a quarterly basis. And all you have to do is have 3 customers. She said, really? She said, what's that investment? I jokingly said about $10,000. She was like, whoa. And I said, no, I'm just kidding. It's $1,697 plus the tax of your state or city. That's it. That's it. This is what you're going to get. Now, how did I position this? I did not position Wakanda as an MLM. I did not position her as coming in and building a Wakana business. I positioned it as her looking at Wakana as a second line, product line to start off with her existing white labeling brand. So she'll have her brand and she'll have a second line called Wakana. That's how I positioned it. Are y'all still with me? Now, the whole piece to this is this. My focus as independent that's positioning her is to make certain that, because now she's more product based. She's not really into our model. However, when she came back, there was a couple of things. When she came back to pick up her product, I wanted to make certain the product was there for her founding members pack, because she's from out of town. The next day she came back. I helped her box it up because I wanted her to take the product. Whenever you do a sale, you want them to have the product right then. If they could take it, because that exchange of product now also secures that transaction. We've gotten a credit card that have gone through, we have a signature, and we have product. Now they taste the product, they sample. When they feel like they got that product, they've bought something. Now, in the midst of everything, she comes back, she visits the booth, she's excited. Someone said, hey, take it through the academy training or what have you. Well, I typically would like to wait and not rush that through, but I did it. And when I did it, when she looked at it, when I did that, our sales academy training, it changed the proposition, the position of the proposition, from her being able to get us as a second product line to potentially white labeling our product to now an MLM, by which she wasn't interested in. So she left, she called back and said, hey, I'm not really interested in building an MLM business. I'm interested in what we discussed. And I said, sure, that's what you do. But now she's looking at all of the other stuff that's out there about us, which is all great stuff, but it's all centered around MLM. So now we're having conversation as to whether or not she want to move forward or whether or not she'll go ahead with the original plan. What's my point? My point is, it's very important that you know who you're talking to. My point is, it's very important that you don't go out and just sell a founder's pack. You don't go out and just sell a crown jewel dispensary. You don't go out and just sell a pre-roll. Because here's the deal. I need CBD for my body, because my body is made up of an endocannabinoid system. And CBD helps to balance my body. I know that, I understand that. But if Dr. Diamond Mooney, who has an array of products, who loves the pre-roll, and I'm not saying he does, I'm just giving an example. He loves the pre-roll. And I tell him, man, I like the CBD in my body. And because the pre-roll is his favorite, he begins to push the pre-roll on me. And I personally don't put any smoke in my body. He just created a barrier because he did not properly position me for whatever he was going to proposition me for. He did not properly position the proposition that he was going to present to me because he never listened to me. He never asked the questions. Are you understanding me? It's critical that you know what the need, what the pain, and what the desire of the person you're talking to is. Because as soon as they feel like what you're presenting to them does not meet the need, it does not solve the pain, or it does not fulfill the desire, then even though they said yes, their yes becomes a no. And it's whether it becomes a no now or it becomes a no later. Because we did not do a good job in properly positioning the proposition. Now, here it is. The challenge becomes there was an expectation that was set up that was not met. And now, whenever there's an expectation that's not met, it leads to disappointment. And now I have to work through trying to get access through disappointment to get your expectation back up. And sometimes that's difficult. Now, we're not at the final. We're not at the end. I believe it's probably going to wind up coming to an end. There's still dialogue only via text now. I can't get on the phone. But it's all because they now can't get MLM out their head. Because the position of the proposition was product focused. Does that make sense? So, but the way it was all set up, I couldn't say in front of when it was all happening, no, we're not going to do that today. We're going to do that tomorrow, because it was already teed up as, man, you got to get you got to get your sales academy training in. So now everything's rushed. There's people around. You see that? It's too much. So, any questions? Is this helpful?
Man, let me break in. That was so powerful and so on point. It's just what it is. It was powerful and it's on point. I literally stopped cooking. I was listening and I literally started leaning in. That was on point.
Good. Any other feedback? Any other questions about properly positioning the proposition? We're in any questions?
Well, you know what? Let me make this one thing.
Sure.
I want to highlight this. You asked the right questions, man. And you listened, you asked the right questions, you listened, you heard what she said, and she was like right there, super excited. And that audible, it was, that audible, wherever that came from, I get it. And it happens. And it railroaded. That audible railroaded.
And that's why with me, you need any assistance? No, I got it.
Yeah.
It doesn't take really, you guys, when you properly position the proposition, this doesn't take long.
No.
I've never taken, and I'm not being boastful at all. I mean, the other team members, did you ask her if she wanted a second pack for $8.39?
No.
No, not yet.
No.
No, that's not yet.
That's way off, yeah.
No, I gotta work. I gotta let that marinate.
Yeah.
The way I would do that is go back and say, hey, you know what? There's an opportunity for you to get a second share.
Yes.
For only $8.39. I don't know if that's something that will interest you, but imagine that you're going to get a second share. So that's 2 shares of 1% of the gross. I would do that later.
Mm-hmm.
You see? Now,
I got something to help though. I got you.
Yeah, and the only reason I'll do that is, and it's all, Jewel, let me say this. It's all based on how you position it. So thank you. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I believe the Holy Spirit talks to me whether I'm talking about weed, whether I'm talking about anything. So watch this. Here it goes. Here it goes. If my positioning of the proposition was based on someone that just wanted to take advantage of there's a share of 1% of the gross revenue on a quarterly basis, and that's really all they wanted, because I have people like that, then I will offer them that second share right there, because that's what they care about. They care about getting shares. So at that point, right on the spot, if that's the way I position the proposition, then I'm going to do that. But if it's not about the shares, come on, this is what I'm talking about, forcing something on them that they're not asking for. If it's not about the shares and it's more about the product itself, whether it's retail or whatever the case may be, then I'm gonna focus on that first and foremost. And I'm gonna solidify that first and foremost. And then I'll come back and say, hey, now that I know this is solidified, check this out. There is an opportunity. I know your main focus is product, but there is an opportunity. Now watch how I use this to gain more product for 50% less. In addition, you'll get a second share. And then you shut up. And I'm not saying that, you guys, I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say shut up. Be quiet, hush. That was one of the things that if I don't know if anybody that was at the expo, I don't know if there's anybody that was at the expo that's on the line, but they will tell you I talk less than the people I sold. I asked questions, they did all of the talking, and literally both times less than 10 minutes. And then there was another one, I was on my way out, and and Miss Phyllis said, hey, Coach Dan, can you talk to this person for this person? I know you're leaving. I didn't even know how she set it up. Why? Because the system is the same. I asked him a couple of questions. He gave a couple of answers. I said, are you ready to go today? He said, yes. This was in less than 10 minutes. I said, hey, she's going to get you an application. When I left, he was filling out the application, pulling out his card. That's, again, not seeking to impress you. That's not the purpose of this. The purpose is helping you to understand and make this easy for you. And me being a living proof that it works. Ask the right questions, and they will tell you how to sell them. Let me see if we got anything else. I got 2 more minutes. Anything else in the chat? Wakanda Wealthy Wednesday, Wakanda Nation guest and my 2 heroes, clear and enlightening. Will these be recorded to be repeated? And where can I find it? Gratitude. Shirley, yes, it is recorded. I do know that. And we'll figure out, maybe Kathy can share with you how to gain access, or they can send the link out. Do you have a list of qualifying questions? I do. I think we did a whole, I'm certain I've done this already, and it may actually be on your Wakanda Success Academy type of questions to ask. But what we can do, if Dr. Diamond Mooney will remind me of my commitment, is to do that qualifying questions next week.
That's the deal. Yep.
But I'll just say this. Here it is. And you guys going to think I'm being silly, Anita. Here it goes. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Those are the qualifying questions. Who are you?
Yeah.
What are you looking for? When are you trying to do it? Where are you located? What is your why? And how you want to go about doing this? How do you want to leverage Wakana? Remember, y'all, there's 7 ways to get paid in Wakana. You got to know which way to pick based on the way that they're answering your questions. And then say, you know, there's some other opportunities. That's what I did with the mayor today. I said, you know, every time you refer someone to Wakana, you get a $200 bonus. Now, I know that's not what we were discussing, but I just want to share that with you. I never talked about the MLM. I just said, and then you get 15% override for everybody that goes to their site. And if they keep duplicating that, you could get paid for 7 levels deep. I talked about how they could get paid and let them decide which way they want to go. Listen, I got to go at 7 o'clock. Thank you guys so much. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate you. And until next time, as always, prosper. Let's go. Why Wakana, y'all?